it comes to support style characters in Marvel's Avengers, there really is one character that is head and shoulders above the rest by a wide margin. That's largely in part to the skills she has and also some of the pretty awesome legendary sets that you can get for her as well. So it is Miss Marvel. We'll be showing off a support style build in this video. Now, despite the fact the emphasis is on support, she can put out a huge amount of damage, she has fantastic survivability, and she's got some really nice crowd control skills as well. Now, in the video anyway, we break it into sections, so we start off with the overview. I'll talk roughly about the build so you can see if you're interested and you want to find out more about it. We'll then look at the stats and I'll talk about the priority, the ones you want to aim for. We'll look at the gear and I'll point out particular perks you really want. And then we'll talk about the abilities. I'll tell you which ones you want to go for and why, and then we finish up with some Endgame gameplay. But let's jump in and start off with this overview. When you have a character that's very good in different areas, they'll genuinely be a jack of all trades and master of none, and that's really not the case at all in almost all areas. Kamala Khan really is pretty amazing. So we've already talked about the fact that this will be a support based build. It's all about adding some pretty exceptional buffs to your teammates. Some of these buffs are just insane and you can get really high uptime on them. We've also got the crowd control aspect that comes via her range skills, and then we've got the great survivability that she can offer as well. So if you want, with a little bit of tinkering in this build, you could actually make her a tank if you wanted. You could make her an all-out brawler, or you could go for the jack of all trades as I'm doing. But again, jack of all trades, but it doesn't mean she's not the master of any of them. She is very good at all of them as well. But let's go in now and we'll get more specific. We'll talk about which stats you want to aim for. At the moment then, I'm relatively happy with the gear that I do have, but I still am looking to min-max it without a doubt. So the stats I'm showing here are not stats maxed out, but I'll be talking about the stat priority. Now, the main one you're looking for here would be Might with this build, because you're doing a lot of melee attacks on it. Next up, we actually have Valor. The reason that's important is it will affect the damage while you are embiggened, and with this build we'll have a pretty high uptime with the embiggened. We then have Resolve next. Now, very important, because through a series of perks you can use and gears you can equip, you can actually get round about close to 10% health regen per second when using our polymorph ability, and that's based on your health pool. So the higher the health pool, the more you'll actually be gaining. So Resolve can work really good for us. That's the three stats: Might for your melee damage, Valor for your embiggened, and then you've got Resolve as well. Sometimes you can push a fourth stat. If you were to do that, I'd possibly recommend Precision. The reason being her grab move, which when you're embiggened or you actually shrink certain enemies, you can grab your adaptoids, which is really pretty amazing, even the flaming ones, which is awesome. But you can grab them. The damage is affected by Precision rather than Might, because it is classed as a range skill. So if you can get some of that as well, that can work. But the priority without a doubt is once again Might, Valor, and also Resolve. When it comes to gear, your slots 3 and 4 are locked in, but for your slots 1 and 2 there's various different options you can use. I'll quickly show them off. So we've got this dropping from your elite content. The top perk here increases damage from all attacks while polymorph is active, and it's close to 14%. Next up, we have Marvelous Clasps. These offer, the third perk down is Polymorph Flare, so a whopping 122% increased crit attack damage from polymorph attacks. And then finally, you can see on this random epic piece of gear, you also have your damage reduction while Healing Spirit is active, so that can be really nice. Looking at your slot 2, your named elite pieces will always have Precision on them, which I'm not really aiming for, so I'm using one that has Might on it at the moment. However, I'll show this one off because this is really relevant to an awesome combination you can run with her. So on your slot 1, if you can get something that actually has PIM particles on it, what you'll do, let's say you're fighting a fire adaptoid, you can actually shrink them. Once they're shrunk, you can then pick them up even when she's just a regular size. If you have a status effect such as shock, then that's an opposite status effect from PIM particles, which means you will do your additional damage there. But with shock, it's really nice because you've got a higher chance to crit, and with your high Valor stat, you'll be doing more crit damage as well. So that's an amazing combination. It'll take you pretty long to get nice gear pieces that have that, but that's what you're really aiming for. When we look at slots 3 and 4, we have Marvellous Armament. So this one here has Guardian Spirit. It's a 15% damage reduction from attacks for any team member with the Team Spirit active, and we'll see what that is in just a moment. And then Heroic Assistance, that allows you to get your Heroic support up even quicker. If you're going for a more tanky setup, then you can go for this. It comes from your elite, let's see, it would be your elite hives. This one here is Polymorphic Rejuvenation, so increases willpower recovery by 200% while Polymorph is active. Through our perks we can get that to 5%, so that should boost it up to 10%, which is absolutely huge. And then you can get increased Polymorph energy from this as well. Final piece, this one you want to get up to 140 as soon as you get a nice roll on the stats for it. So with this here, it's Mighty Spirit. It adds a damage buff to any team members affected by Team Spirit, and that includes Miss Marvel, increases all damage by a whopping 20%, and then you have Proficient Spirit, which is just insane. There's nothing like this in game, I don't think. So it adds a critical attack chance bonus of 35%, which is huge, to any team member affected by Team Spirit. So the crit chance I've got on is around about 22%, and that pulls it up to what, 57% crit chance, and put that alongside the High Valor. Really amazing. Now when it comes to major artifacts, there's nothing that really stands out. Unfortunately, the Norn Stones, which you think would actually affect some of our damage buffs, don't actually boost the duration, so I'm hoping that gets a rework. So for the time being, I'm just using the Ring of Nibelung so we can get more from our heroic orbs to have them bigging up even longer. For your minor artifacts, you definitely want to look for ways to reduce the cooldown ability on your support heroic, because that will be really important from a support perspective. But you can have Might, that can be really nice. I've got Resolve, and then also the other stat I was talking about when I talked about the free stats, I've got Valor as well there. But that's the gear to look out for. Let's have a look at the abilities now. When we looked at her slot 4 a moment ago, the bonuses on it were based on Healing Spirit, so that is her support heroic here. Now if we look at the perks that we would go for, start off with Will to Live. This gives us an additional charge of this. And then next up we go for Inner Peace. So this increases the duration of Healing Spirit's residual effect by 8 seconds. Now the residual effect is a dot heal, but it's actually the bonuses that come from the slot 4. So that's your extra 20% damage and 35% crit rate. So with this setup here, you're getting multiple charges of it, 2 charges you're getting, and it lasts for 18 seconds. You can go for 3 charges, but then it would only last for 10 seconds at a time. So personally, might be 6 and a half a dozen, really the way it works out, but personally I prefer to go for this one here. So you've got an 18-second heal dot, 20% damage boost and 35% crit rate, and if you can get your heroic orbs dropping pretty often, really amazing. Nothing comes close to this from a support perspective. Now when it comes to the Assault heroic, she's got a strange thing going on with up high, down low. So the ones I've chosen here are just so we can boost the chance of getting your heroic orbs actually dropping when you use it. So we've got up high, and then the next one we have here is Patty Cake. I'm not going to break it down too much because you can go in and see it yourself, but I'm using them for the higher chance of getting your heroics orbs actually dropping. We then have the ultimate, which is Embiggen, so I would go for extending the duration of this by 5 seconds. And then the bottom option is Fists of Glory, so it gives you a chance to get your heroic orbs when you're Embiggen, so you'll be doing a huge amount of damage with the Valor stat. And then you've also got the fact that when the heroic orbs will be dropping, you can use your support, which will then give you that additional buff from your slot 4 as well. And when you've all got them going off at the same time, it really is just incredible. For the Mastery tree here, we start off with Heroic Energy Mastery, so you'll get additional Heroic Energy back when doing a light and heavy attack. We then have Stun Mastery, so if you can stun enemies more frequently, then you can get your takedowns and get your Heroic Orbs. In regards to your Heroic Orbs, this is how you generate them with takedowns here. Next up we have Ranged Power Punch, so increases the power and weight of Whip Fist, causing a stronger enemy reaction. This is actually really nice because when you use this, it staggers them for longer, which means if you then try to grab them, you will be more successful doing this. A lot of instances, if you try and grab them in the first instance, it won't work. So you do your quick attack first and then you follow up with this. We have Grab Protection next, so it prevents being interrupted from enemy attacks while holding onto an enemy. If you're able to grab hold of a fire adaptoid, you don't want a random enemy just hitting you out of it. You want to be able to take them down while grabbing them because it's an amazing thing to do, so this helps you to do that. We We then have Heroic Grab Mastery, so it's not often we'll be using the Slam or Throw attack, but if we do, then this is the best option to go for. Next up we have Polymorphic Regeneration, so it increases willpower regeneration from Shining Well, so that was the one that helps us get the health boost really way up there. And then we have Polymorph Damage, increases the damage of all melee attacks by 12.5% while using Polymorph. This one here ties in with the next one in a moment for something pretty awesome, but it's Polymorph Precision, so increased crit chance when Polymorph is active, that's by 15%. And then if we look at this one here, Cunning Resolve, it increases the critical attack chance for polymorph attacks by 15%, and that would apply to the 4 of them, but the one I use more often is Whirlwind, which just spins round. So if you were to use your support heroic, and then you've got this perk set up, when you're using your Whirlwind you'll have close to 90% crit chance on it. It doesn't last very long, but you can absolutely decimate the enemies with that setup there. We have Recovering Rebound next, not really that important out of the 3 options, none of them I used too much, so I went for this one. And then the final one we have here just adds a bit more survivability, so Shining Will increases the recovery rate of willpower, the lower the amount becomes, up to 15%. So that's all the options there. Really was surprised how good she was. I left her as one of the last characters to look at. I still have Hulk to look at, and I will do that soon, but I left her as one of the last characters, and I kind of regret doing that because she is really pretty amazing. But I'll finish up now with some Endgame gameplay. Let me know what you think of this build in the comments below, and thanks for tuning in. Enjoy this gameplay, and I'll see you all again soon.